Welcome back to Signals on 91.3 Lagos Talks. This morning we'll be looking at law, leadership, and legacy. Before I read out his profile, very special thanks to Akimbode Butuyi for making sure that this happened for Signals on 91.3. I have with me the principal counsel at Adewunmi and Ekisola legal practitioners and notaries, where he leads the team of 15, including 8 legal professionals in delivering cutting-edge legal solutions across diverse practice areas. With over 3 decades of experience, he has built a distinguished career as a legal practitioner, consultant, researcher, and thought leader in intellectual property law, secured credit transactions, insolvency, land and property law, labor and employment law, and corporate governance. Well, he has represented clients extensively before trial and appellate courts, notably securing one of the highest monetary copyright awards in Nigeria's history in 2019. His professional development is marked by participation in prestigious international forums, including International Audiovisual Law Seminars in Cannes, France, and the International Bar Association Conference in Vancouver, Canada. In Nigeria, he has been consistent. He has been a consistent voice at the Nigeria Bar Association annual conferences since 1991. And recently, September 29, he was honored with the Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Welcome with me to Signals, standing on existing protocols. Olumide, Alaba, Ekisola. I had to do that so that they will not miss me. Welcome and congratulations once again on your sonship in quotes.
Thank you very much. I'm indeed very grateful.
Oh yes, please. Now let's dive into. It's been 3 decades in law. What have been your defining moments? Yes, let's start with that. Because those white hair has to count for something.
I remember the words of a friend and a colleague, which had actually been my mantra when I interview candidates for the firm for employment. The first question I ask them is, why did you study law? When they tell me, why are you practicing law? Because they are two different things. You could study law and decide not to practice. And I normally give an example to them that, look, on Admiralty Way, where our office is located in somewhere in Lekki Phase 1, I normally tell them that there are people who are running businesses on that way, on that avenue, who are actually trained lawyers. But what is important in this present day economy is that you do what you have a passion for and you get some satisfaction from it. It's like what some footballers normally say, that they enjoy playing football and they are getting paid for it. I gave this preamble because I went to study law for the sole purpose of becoming a courtroom lawyer. Not just a lawyer, but a courtroom lawyer. Somebody that does litigation. In as much as quite a lot of people, or quite a few people, deride it, it's time wasting or whatever. I guess for after 3 decades, as you've said, I'm used to it. The most defining moment I can tell you was in, if my memory serves me right, 2019, when after a case that started in 2011, judgment was finally delivered in 2019, and vindicating my clients, who coincidentally were not the people that initiated the case. What happened was that they were sued, so they had to make a counterclaim. We had always had this position that they had always been in the right, because before that case was even instituted, before we filed the counterclaim, we had a series of meetings with the sole, if I can say way back then, sole satellite pay cable, pay TV provider, telling them, you have been in this market for this long, you have been using people's work, you have not been paying. And we, by providence, sheer providence, happens to be the lawyers that were representing the right owner, so to say. We went back and forth. It was a huge thing. It was some Herculean task because we needed to establish to the courts that these works were being used. Of course, it's apparent to the whole world that the works are being used, but proving it in a courtroom is a fundamentally different thing because the judges will only rely on facts that you can establish in the courtroom, not even what they can witness in the corners of their bedroom. So in that particular instance, for the first time, we did a novel thing. The client had installed in that courtroom the signals of the pay TV provider, brought monitors to the courtroom, monitors to show live, and if I can use the expression in color, how the transgressions were going on, live and real time. And at the same time, we needed to install another monitor, internet enabled, so that the database of our clients of over 20-something million tracks could be seen live and in color, so to say, by the judge. We're able to do it, convince the judge. And way back then, when Naira was still a little bit strong, an award of about 5.9 billion Naira was awarded, which then amounted to about $14 million. But subsequently, of course, the price went up. They went to the Court of Appeal. They lost again at the Court of Appeal. And that, I can say, was the decisive moment. In fact, I was so emotional on that day. And the reason for the emotion was that these same clients of ours had been unjustly, over 3 times, locked up at Ikoyi prisons because they were being accused of carrying on what they termed illegal activities. And our own point had always been, before that case, that when they started their business, they needed no license because the Nigerian Corporate Commission was not even in existence. It was in 1990, they started their business in 1985, or between 83 and 86. The Corporate Commission came into existence in 1988. The law making provisions for people to seek licenses came into existence between 1991 and 1992 and 1999. In fact, the last law was made by, what's his name now? Abdul Salam, when he was going, General Abdul Salam, when he was leaving. So we said, these people needed no license. They had been in business. They had acquired properties. So you cannot make law in the future to have retrospective effects to divest already vested rights. The High Court agreed with us. The Court of Appeal agreed with us. The other side attempted to go to the Supreme Court. We were ready to go on with them, but maybe somebody advised them and they had a change of mind. Came back, sat at the table, negotiated, and everything was settled. In fact, one of my juniors then had on her social media handle, that for the first time, she believed then that law actually works. So that, I can tell you, is my defining moment to be somebody who started the thing, seen everything, understood everything, saw what the clients were going through. As I said, having to spend in 3 or 4 times in Ikoyi prisons, detained over time on some funny criminal charges, which were all eventually withdrawn, and seeing them being vindicated at the end of the day after 11 years. That actually made me very fulfilled in having going to school to study law and to practice it.
Okay, thank you for sharing this. I'm sure everybody would like to know, did they now pay us the money? The money? Good.
They paid. There was no way they were not going to pay. They paid.
Now,
in fact, coincidentally, when the case was filed, I told the client, just as I told you, the client was sued, not that they initiated the action. It was after they were sued that they made a counterclaim. I told them, I remember vividly when they were at the registry signing, the Federal High Court registry signing the papers. I told the man, this case, be ready to get to the Supreme Court. If we lose, we will appeal. If they lose, if we lose, we will appeal. And I'm sure if they lose, they will appeal. So,
Wow.
but
Now,
at the end of the day, everything worked out fine.
and I'm glad it did. Why does the wheel of justice, why is it slow?
What I can tell you is that it's in our very nature. You see, Nigerians are very litigious in nature. And that is the thing that also affects our electoral, what will I say now?
Bodies.
The electoral process, the process itself. Somebody loses an election, and instead of the person to accept, I've lost, and the person will go home. The person will, at times, not even challenge the vote, but will be challenging the qualification of the person has contested against. So the focus will be shifted from what the wish of the people is as regard who governs them. It will now be shifted from that person's peculiar, parochial, subjective, and selfish point of view that I have to be the one ruling. So let me do everything that I need to do. So it is in our nature. In everything we quarrel over that takes us to court, you understand? And when you have a lot of people filing cases, that in itself will slow down because there are so many people contesting and competing for the attention of the judex, that is of the judges. So, but I can tell you, compared to when we started law practice, in as much as it still appears slow, it has improved. It has greatly improved. Some lawyers presently will not believe that there was a time where judges write everything longhand. When you introduce yourself, they write. The only thing they probably not write is when you sneeze and you cough. Every other thing, they were always writing. But now, starting with Lagos State some years back, a lot of technology has been introduced and the processes too have been changed. In the past, all you needed to file was to file some documents and some claims. Presently, you not only file documents and claims, you front load all your pieces of evidence, even what you want to come and say in court. You do everything under oath. We call it witness statement on oath. So everybody knows beforehand what you are coming to say. Unlike in the past, even when we do treat some interlocutory matters, that is some minor matters that come up before the substantive matter, you go there and you argue, so to say, extempore. It is not something that you'll have prepared, written down. But now, if you file any document, you support it with a written address. What you want to come and say, it's already before the court, it's already before your opponent. So nobody takes anybody by surprise. And that person to reply. So all we do there most of the time, except during trials, is to go there, adopt what we have already written. So that's actually saves a lot of time. Then the other thing is the society in which we are in presently. Let's be frank. Our public utilities, particularly power. During Governor Raji Fashola's time, I can give that to him. There were certain public, public institutions that had power supply during the duration of which the public institutions were supposed to be working. The hospitals, particularly the one on Lagos Island, had power 24/7. The courts had power right from when we resumed court and until when the court closed. But nowadays, what they do is generator, they switch it on at 10 and they switch it off at 2. So whatever we need to do, we must do it within that time.
Then the wheels of justice is now grinding at a snail speed.
But it is much better, I will tell you, much more better than when we had the revision of the rules of court that facilitates a speedier process. And when we never had technology that everything needed to be written longhand.
Okay.
It can still be better.
It can still be much more better.
Yeah, it is also.
Okay.
But remember, we all live in Nigeria. It's not peculiar to the it's not peculiar to the judicial system.
Son. Because I have to address you as son now. Why when we say it's Nigeria, I'm sure that 30 years back, when you decided that law was a thing for you as a courtroom lawyer, you wanted to see change. You wanted to see change, right? Yes, you have seen a lot of change, but it can still be a lot more better. Why do you think that if it is Nigeria, like it should not be?
Now, let me explain what I mean by that.
Yes.
You see, in the course of my professional life, people have complained about the judicial system.
Mm.
At times, they even complain about the personnel, both lawyers and the bench. The first thing I tell them is most of the allegations you make concerning the bench are unfounded. But because we are Nigerians, just as I gave you an example, a man loses an election. Instead of him licking his wounds and going back home, the man wants to contest that election from the
Naija no
course
dey
of
carry
justice.
last. Naija no dey
Exactly.
Naija no dey carry
And they
last.
want to take it, they want to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, in the course of it, if they actually have genuine cases and they win, they praise the judiciary to the high heavens by saying the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. But when they lose, no, somebody has been settled, this and that and that and that and that. So when I say Nigeria, I am not even talking about it in a manner as if something is bad in the society. It is just the way we are. You understand? The reorientation of our minds have to, first of all, be the first thing we achieve. When we have our minds turn the other way around for the better, then we can see changes in the society. And as I said, when I said it is not peculiar to the judiciary, it's the Nigerian in all of us. And that is just a fact.
Okay, then. Signals on 91.3, we're discussing law, leadership, and legacy with Olumide Ekisola S.A.N. We must add that to it. Now, if you want to have questions, if you ask questions, WhatsApp 0809-234-5913. Now, many lawyers aspire to reach the rank of being a S.A.N. What personal discipline or mindset do you believe truly sets one apart? Because we just had 57. I need the amount of lawyers that are out.
It was even during this particular time when we were being trained unquote, that certain statistics were reeled out to us that made one actually realize the significance and importance of what God has been able to achieve in one's life. Because I can tell you, it is only God. I told somebody recently that I've never gone through any rigorous vetting like the ones I went through between January and this year and up till September 23rd. Although the announcement was made on July 24th, but we were still, the vetting was in there. Some people who are outside, who have never experienced the thing, think it is child's play. You see, when we were all in law school, there was basic tenets of the profession concerning integrity that we were all imbibed with. We were all taught. And the time that you see the practical display of what some of us took for granted over the years will be when you are applying for this rank. When we were all in school then, in law school, there was a man, I'm not sure whether he's still alive, Odunaya, who was an accountant and at the same time a lawyer, who came to take us lectures concerning clients' account. Most law firms that are serious about law practice will have their business account for the law firm, but you will have a client's account. The reason why you have a client's account is that you are not expected to mix the two funds together. The money meant for the client will be in the client's account. The money meant for your own running of your office will be in your office account. And during this process of becoming a senior advocate, all these things were examined to be sure that you complied.
Wow.
And imagine after they have even gone through all this chambers inspection, making sure you had the facilities, they also went to the point of going even
Professionals.
your personals, definitely. Apart from sending your name to all the security agencies for them to find out what kind of a person. There was a publication in the papers saying these are the people that we are considering. If anybody feels we should not give it to this person,
Come
please,
out.
within 21 days, let us know. So you can imagine if your name is being published in the papers and on the internet, and you are waiting because you don't know, maybe you had even rubbed up somebody on the wrong side, and the person will just decide. But the process is fair because even when you write that petition, the person against whom you petition will be given the opportunity to defend himself or herself. In the past, there had been people that had been announced who are not conferred.
Hmm.
There had been people that some people wrote petitions on who are disqualified. So the process is very gross, very, very gross.
So
That's what I can tell you.
this leads me to Nigeria sure has due process.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. That one I can tell you for free. In the past, maybe we'll say it's Nigeria now, you get away with it. You understand. But there are certain institutions in this country, you understand, that due process is
You
actually
must
being applied. You must go through it. You
uh,
must go through it.
uh,
Even after you have achieved the basic minimum. What do I mean? The basic criteria. 10 years post call, this number of, even the number of cases, they are specific. You are expected to send everything, they will comb through it. If there are people that, let me give you an example. 104 of us applied. 104 of us applied. But 57 were given. And when I say 104, the 104 are even practicing advocates. I'm not even counting the number of the academics. And it was only 56 advocates that were given. For the remaining that they did not give, they must have found one thing or the other. Not necessarily something impugning their character. But in fact, most of the time, not anything impugning their character. But they did not comply with the process. And from what we were able to understand, some were even after being dropped and they appealed, some were banned for the next 10 years. Some were banned for the next 5 years.
that's my Nigeria. That's the Nigeria I want to see. Wow. Now, having led a law firm for years, what principles guide your leadership style and team management? Because you look to
That is,
be a due process person. So let's ask the questions gradually.
I think you've been reading too much of my social media.
Funny, see, so I think with you, I think with you, and there's this Yoruba adage that says that if you want to go far, you have to sit at the feet of elders, right?
Mhm.
My first Akimode will not cut off my head, right? But my
Mhm.
first interaction with you before I met you was so I call him Uncle Bode. Bode telling me about his friends, his lawyers, friends, and what they do. And as at yesterday night, it was still combing my my cerebral faculty that these are the kind of questions you need to ask, and let's hear from you. So I have explained a little bit, and you know what I'm talking about. But
Mhm.
this is you here with us, 30 decades, 30 years after. What are those things? Because we have a lot of lawyers coming out every year. There is this everybody celebrating. I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. But the reality sets in for a new lawyer coming
Basically, I think you should just be focused. Yes. Basically, you should just be focused on why you studied law. As I told you, if you are focused and you know this is the reason why I'm doing this,
in. Yes.
at the beginning, at the inception, it may be difficult remuneration or returns wise.
And they say law doesn't pay.
Yes, at the beginning, but if you keep at it and you are focused and with God on your side, I once, there was this cousin of mine, he's late now, he was a senior advocate too, Mr. Okulaja S.A.N. Before I even studied law, you know what he told me one day? We were just interacting. He said, law is the only profession that he knows that yesterday evening, you could go to bed flat broke. And by 12 noon the following day, you could be a multimillionaire. And that is actually, if that was your focus. But you see, as I said, if it is something that you enjoy, you understand, you'll be doing it. You understand, the remuneration will come. By the special grace of God, the remuneration and the returns will come. I can say this for free because I experienced it. All you have to do be focused and know this is what I'll give you a simple example, personal example. When I started law practice, way back then, it was in the first boom of the finance houses, way back in the days of forum come inside. If you know that advert, forum come inside, way back. There were a lot of legal activities going on, as in relating to law. We were doing the businesses, and when the finance houses were going under, lawyers would continue doing the businesses because to make them go under properly, you still need lawyers. Now there was a lot in the business. Quite a few of us, as in some of my colleagues, went into property business. Property business is rewarding, no doubt. And quite a lot of them made a lot of money, if that was their focus. But I can mention 1, 2, 3, or 4 of us who refused. Took conscious decision that this is not the reason why I went to school. I went to school to study law because I wanted to practice law. Not to do agency, legal, this percentage, that percentage. It is rewarding for them. You understand? But for me, that wasn't why I did. That wasn't why I studied law. I decided to study law because I wanted to practice law.
Share with us your typical day in the courtroom, in the Nigerian courtroom.
Now, I will not be able to share with you the experience of a senior advocate in the courtroom because I've not gone to any courtroom since I became senior advocate. I won't lie to you.
No.
But of course,
Before you became senior, your sign is still. It was last month, so
in fact, a few days ago.
It was 3 days ago.
So
before the SAN.
What I will tell you is that, of course, you get to the court 9 o'clock. You must get to the court before 9 in the morning because the court sits at 9. You sit down there, you interact with your clients, your friends, professional colleagues. The court sits, and cases are called, and you treat, cases are treated according to how it's listed on the cost list, or how the question of seniority is taken into reckoning, either by being a senior advocate or by being much more senior at the bar. It can be fulfilling if you are really interested in it because you learn from other people's cases. There are other things that people will be arguing in court that you learn from it, you take cues from it, you see people make mistakes. If you witness other people's trials, you see people make mistakes, and that's it. So if you are really interested, you are interested. That's what a typical date in court is. And if you are fortunate enough to be there when judgments and rulings are being given, you get to hear the opinions of the judex, that is of the law of the judges. If they are ruling on some objections in a trial, they are concerning the admissibilities of pieces of evidence, they will justify why. Side case, you listen, you take notes, you go back to your chambers, pick up the law reports to read. Even if you disagree, you read to clarify your own mind, so that when next you appear before another court and that another judge seems to want to toe the line of the other judge, you'll be well prepared for it. So that's what a typical day in court is. And of course, you suffer some losses. You are downcast. You have a little bit of downcast on you. You win some. You are accelerated. So
what matters in court? Facts, truths, or opinions? Some say something might be truthful, but by the time they argue the case back and forth, tell me, please.
I normally get this. Let me tell you one thing. It's another way of saying what some people say, that lawyers are liars. Because when they say, you don't have to say it. Since you have asked about truth, you see, there are no absolute laws. Let me give you the most common one that people may think is absolute. Thou shalt not kill. Murder. People think it is absolute, but it is not. There are exceptions. Self-defense, insanity, not necessarily that the person will be exonerated. You understand?
Yeah.
There are instances where the person will be exonerated. There are instances where the person will be sent to jail but not killed. It is the duty of a defense lawyer not to establish or prove the innocence of his client. It is the duty of the prosecutor to prove the guilt of somebody beyond reasonable doubt. The work of the defense lawyer is to pick holes in the evidence brought before the court to show reasonable doubt. So lawyers do not lie, and the truth matters, because there is one aphorism in law that it is best for a guilty man to be found innocent than for an innocent man to be thrown into jail. So your duty, no lawyer lies. That one I can tell you for free. What we are only doing is to make sure you are laughing. You don't believe no lawyer lies.
No. So I'm not the one. No. See, I'm in your courtroom right now, so I have to ensure that my own argument is concise. So I know that not all lawyers lie. Well, not all
You
lawyers.
say not all lawyers. You are still not convinced by what I told you. Yeah,
No.
continue.
Now, I'm playing a bit of a devil's advocate a bit to say that if we look at, like you rightly said, it's better for a guilty person to be innocent than from an innocent person to be guilty. It leads me to, we have congested prisons. And sometimes, so humor me a bit. I was talking to a friend, I've been talking to a group of people, and we've been working towards having to do something for people in prison. And I was telling somebody that we need to feed them, and they were like, "No, that okay, they are guilty." And I said, "It's not everybody who's in prison that is guilty, and even if they are guilty, they're already paying for their time, right?" And I look at them, and I don't want to begin to imagine when you are in the courtroom and they say we are sentencing this person to life of imprisonment, and my heart cannot take it. So let's talk about it. Confession.
You see, you should look at it from this angle. In the spectrum of the legal process concerning administration of criminal justice, there are certain people that are the accused, and there are certain people that are the victims. The work of the judge is to balance that scale of justice between the accused and the victims. If the accused are actually found guilty of whatever they have done, they should pay for it.
Beyond reasonable doubt.
Beyond, definitely, because they are the victims themselves must have justice.
Yes. That.
So that is the way it works. You see, what I can tell you is that we have laws in this country that secures the process, that guarantees the process. Yes, the administration might be a little bit slow, and the good thing about this country is, yes, it may take some time, but we tweak our laws here and there to make sure that the thing works better.
For us,
understand? Here. For us here. And when people stay so long in jail, awaiting trial, so to say, not convicted, it's also, of course, a pointer to the failure of the state. The state, the Nigerian state as a whole. It also happens that the judiciary or the legal process is part of the Nigerian state. You understand? But it's a failure of the whole state. If the whole state works, if the Nigerian state works, the other parts of the Nigerian state will work, including the judiciary and the administration of justice. What I think we should be looking at is the rejigging, if I can say so, of the whole system, the whole state. And as I must confess to you, as terrible as this country appears to be, you understand, we are much better than some of our contemporaries. The thing about us in Nigeria is that we measure ourselves with the best, and we don't want anything short of that. We say this is how they do it in the United States of America.
It was
This is how they
Nigeria.
do. This is how they do it in the United Kingdom. But little do we dig deeper. How old is the United States of America? How old is the United Kingdom? How old are these institutions that we compare ourselves with? Now, for whatever it is worth, if you know any lawyer or somebody versed in law, if they tell you the star chambers of the United Kingdom, they will tell you the atrocities that went down.
And they're still
Not too
going
distant,
down. And
not too
still going on.
in not too distant past, it's not too distant past, we knew the lynching that was happening in the US about blacks, and they were being hung without trial. That is the same US.
And we're comparing ourselves with.
Little by little, think speaking from history, even in my own life, there were times in this country that once Ole was shouted, thief, the man is burnt down with tires.
Don't go
I can't
justice.
remember seeing that now. In the last 10 years. Let me be very conservative.
Yeah, no, I haven't
So
seen that in a while.
we tend to improve day in, day out. As the thing goes, we get modernization and modernity, and we get more, I don't want to use the word, I prefer the word sophisticated than any other word. We get more sophisticated because for me, it is sophistication that takes everybody, every society to the point at which they are. So we are not categorized. We should calm down. There are other places in Africa that are worse than us, and in South America. So we should calm down.
I see here, I see, France here. That's why don't cross the border yet. The signals are 91.3. If you have questions, comments, you can call us. Send us a WhatsApp message 0809 234 5913 or 0704 700 8913. We're discussing law, leadership, and legacy with Olumide Ekisola S.A.N. He has to be there. 30 years is not a joke. Now, quickly, there's this thing that they say in Yoruba, and I'll try and translate in English because hey, my Yoruba is funny. Meaning that we cannot go to we cannot go to the law court and come back being friends. That sentimental quote of it's sometimes it makes people not want to look for justice for the injustice that has been done to them.
That Yoruba quote, it's the reality of life.
Okay.
You cannot go to the court, depending on what actually took you to court in the first place.
Yeah.
Some people are very magnanimous in their ability to forgive. It depends on the individuals. Even if it's a criminal thing that had to do with the loss of a life. You see people that will say, I've forgiven you. You understand? Maybe that came to that point of forgiveness as a result of their belief system or religious conviction. But what is important is that they are forgiven. And there are some people that will insist that you did this to me.
I want justice.
I want justice. And when ultimately the person either gets or is denied what he feels to be justice, he holds a grudge. We are human. There is nothing anybody can do about that. It's peculiar to everybody. So the reaction is peculiar. It is not something common. So
sorry. Two more questions because I have like three. But when we're in court and they say beyond reasonable doubt, what does that really mean? What does that term really mean?
Beyond reasonable doubt. A doubt can be reasonable, and some can be unreasonable. If all the facts established in court point to the occurrence of a particular fact, that somebody, there is this thing that they use in the law of contract, this standard they use in the law of contract, they call it the innocent bystander test, meaning somebody that is not involved in the whole facts, that is an innocent bystander. If that person listens to the facts that have been established, would that person be able to say reasonably, beyond any reasonable fact, this and this happened? So when they say you should prove something beyond reasonable doubt, it is any reasonable man will not doubt the
The
consequence of
judgment.
all the facts. And the person that plays that role in the Nigerian legal system is the judge, because it's the one that is listening to the fact. Unlike in America where they use, and some other places where they use the jury.
Yeah.
So they will say the jury of your peers. People that are your peers will listen and say, okay, from all these things that they've been able to bring before this court, this happened beyond reasonable doubt. Meanwhile, please have it at the back of your mind. It is reasonable now, doubt, not beyond any shadow of doubt. Reasonable doubt, not beyond any shadow of doubt. There are two different, what do they call it now, standards of establishing the facts in there.
Okay.
So
Now
if no
let's
person, if no reasonable man doubts it, then it's a fact.
okay. Before we say arise, now you have touched on let's talk a bit about copyright law. Now, what are your thoughts about the copyright? If you were to rewrite the copyright law today, what provisions would you prioritize?
Hmm. There's a reason why I had to do. The Copyright Act was just changed recently. Before, I think it was amended up to 1999. Then thereafter, there was a comprehensive consideration of the whole thing. And because there had been since then, between then and now, there have been new developments in technology, the means of disseminating people's works, just at the
IP
press of a button.
addresses,
And
patents.
so they needed to identify and make provisions for the new development so that our law will be at par
Okay.
with technological development. And for till now, it's okay. The only thing I can tell you is that we will continue testing it. Where there are flaws, we will argue in court to show the court that, yeah, this may be the provision of the law, but that cannot be the intendment of legislature. That maybe if you look at it from another point of view, this is what should happen. We'll continue pointing out the injustices that we may see, we may perceive, and that is how a society develops its law. There are no absolute law. Look at the American Constitution. How many amendments do they have? And since then till now, they still go to court, argue. Look at what happened in Roe and Wade concerning
That,
education and concerning
that's one.
discrimination.
That's one.
And concerning what is it called? I think British Board of Education versus Brown in the education one. Roe and Wade is the one on abortion. So look at what happened. They came back, and God knows how many years thereafter, reversed.
We look forward to it being turned again. Passing
So
on.
that's
Passing on. Finally, some say that the Nigerian constitution should be reworked. What do you think?
the only flaw with the Nigerian constitution is there at the beginning, because most of the provisions that are in there are basic provisions that we should have. It is that very beginning, the thing is predicated on a lie. And I will tell you what I mean. The preamble says, we, the people of Nigeria. When did we, the people of Nigeria, sit down to agree on that? The constitution was imposed on all of us, and we decided that
We were not there.
at least, particularly in 1979, there was an attempt. They had a constituent assembly, then chaired by the late Chief F.R.A. Williams, QC S.A.N, and I think he was a joint chair in the 79. But in the 99, nobody sat anywhere. The Supreme Military Council, or whatever they call themselves, or AFRC, or whatever they call themselves, imposed the law on us. And we say, we, the people of Nigeria. There is no we, the people of Nigeria, anywhere. Not until we do that. But if you look at it and compare the provisions with what was contained in the 1999, more or less, they are basically more or less the same thing, except with the introduction of one or two things that are new because of those new things in the society now. But every other thing, and in all fairness to the judiciary, I mean the judges, you may think that I'm praising the judges too much, but that is the fact. Some of the decisions that they hold, and you see, At times, I look at them and I pity their positions. For one reason, they must pronounce on things that are fundamental. Things that are fundamental that you have two sides, two warring sides. Because if everybody was on one side, nobody will go to court. And they must be seen to be above board, they must be seen to be in the middle and not be influenced by any other thing except what they witness in the courtroom. But lo and behold, they still live in this country. They go around, they listen to you on signals, they listen, they are influenced by so many other things outside what they have seen in the courtroom. And yet they have to come to the justice of the matter. So for me, we'll get there ultimately. Building a society is a work in progress. So we'll get there. We just have to keep at it. It's just the focus on being able to keep at it. That's it.
Now, finally, on legacy. What will be your legacy? I know I asked you yesterday. You're wondering.
And I was telling you, forget the gray. The gray that you are seeing is as a result of too much study and too much having to bury my head in the book and be worrying about some other people's problem, because that's the work of a lawyer.
Thank you for worrying about their problems. At least we get to hear your experience.
They pay for my worrying.
Whether they pay or not, there's any white hair, plenty white hair.
Anyway, and at the same time, that was a joke. I'm not exactly a spring chicken either. What I will tell you as legacy: live a better Nigeria. Do what I can do to make Nigeria a better place, and make sure that the coming generation, our children, still have a country they can call theirs. Yeah, most of them are saying they are going out, they are doing Japan, and blah blah blah. The opportunities of Japan was also with some of us. We also had that opportunity way back. But I had a joke that I normally used to crack to my friends. When they say, oh, yeah, come now, aren't you going to leave? As Providence will have it, I started my law practice very early from the location, Ikoyi, Southwest Ikoyi. So when they call me, why don't you Japan? I laugh. I say, Ikoyi lawyer to come and do night guard? No, it can't happen. No. I'd rather stay in this country. And when I was telling them, I was as poor as a church rat, but nonetheless, that was my response to them in those days. And we'll keep at it. Just the most important thing is that we just make a better society for the income, for the coming generation. And I must tell you, yes, they have their own attitude. The people will call millennial, the people will call Gen Z. But I must tell you, they are quite a bunch of a brilliant lot of people. Some of the things that they do, some of the boldness and the things that they get themselves involved with legitimately, you will be amazed. And what I can tell you, we have been able to do, unlike when we were reading, when we were in school, when we were made to understand, just go to school, study this, that, and that, and go look for a job. But they are very bold now. Right from when they were in university, they start as entrepreneurs and they build businesses from scratch. And the examples are abound. I have personal examples in my immediate family. My nephews the one that studied law, that I say, you have to come and practice law. He looked at me in the eye and told me he's not doing it. And I can tell you for free, he's made a success of what he's doing. And it's that kind of boldness. And because for us to be able to build a better nation, people must establish businesses. Entrepreneurship must thrive. And the current generation of Gen Zs and millennials, a whole lot of them are doing it, and they are making successes out of it, even in the legal profession. And they are making successes out of it. And what I think we should all do is make Nigeria a better place. That is the legacy we should also all leave behind. Make Nigeria a better place that will be easier for them to be able to achieve their dreams. After all, we've been made to understand now that we should just raise them happy. They should be happy. So let us make them happy.
Okay, then. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, madam.
Thank you very much for staying for 30 years, and so that I can come and ask you these questions. So yes, thank you so much for staying, and well done. Till we come in. It's been fun having conversation with you. Well, this conversation would be up on our YouTube page, YCC comes on YouTube, so that you can see him and drop comments and then let him ask. But you'll be here again physically, and there will be no road diversion.
It's all right.
Thank you so much. Well, till we come
Thank
your
you
way
for
again
having
next week
me.
Saturday, it's been Law, Leadership and Legacy with Olumide Alaba, Ekisola S.A.N, Principal Counsel at Adewunmi Ekisola. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge
Thank
with
you for
us.
having me. I'm
Well,
very grateful.
thank you too. Well, have a wonderful week and God bless.